choose your side. You gotta choose your side. It's do or die. I said it's do or die. I said it's conflict in all areas, nigga. You choose the side. You could win or you could lose, nigga. It's do or die. Energy don't lie, it just testify for what they saying. I just look them deep into their eyes. Going against the God in me. Now that's suicide. Higher self, higher level, higher wealth. To move like this, you gotta put your pride upon yourself. They say money is power, but knowledge way stronger. I said it's conflict in all areas, nigga. You choose the side. You could win or you could lose, nigga. It's do or die. Energy don't lie, it just testify for what they saying. I just look them deep into their eyes. Money is the God in me. Knowledge way stronger. My soul pure gold, so I live way longer. My mind think right, you got my bloodline chosen. My energy is positive, but words unspoken. I'm so illuminated. I shine brighter than Illuminati. Walking on water, now they really know I'm God body. Gifted from birth, so the life I face is hard body. Had so much love in my heart, they had to apply pressure. Money is the diamond. Knowledge is stronger. My soul pure gold, so I live way longer. My mind think right, you got my bloodline. No matter how hard they try, I found myself in divine timing. Now they follow what I say like my name Simon. Led the chosen ones to victory in divine timing. The time is near, the signs are clear. 144, activation is here. We rise in the vibration with no fear. Oh, the thundercats we all hear. And now it just don't seem fair. It just don't seem fair. Uh-huh. Yeah. You gotta choose your side. You gotta choose your side. It's do or die. I said it's do or die. I said it's conflict in all areas, nigga. You choose the side. You could win or you could lose, nigga. It's do or die. Energy don't lie, it just testify for what they saying. I just look them deep into their eyes. Going against the God in me. Now that's suicide. Higher self, higher level, higher wealth. To move like this, you gotta put your pride upon yourself. They say money is power, but knowledge way stronger.
Yeah, what you say is true. The Shaolin and the Wu-Tang could be dangerous. Do you think your Wu-Tang sword can defeat me?
They say money is power, but knowledge way stronger. My soul pure gold, so I live way longer. My mind think righteous, yeah, my bloodline chosen. My energy is positive, words unspoken. I'm so illuminated. I shine brighter than Illuminati. Walking on water, now they really know I'm God body. Gifted from birth, so the life I face is hard body. Had so much love in my heart, they had to apply pressure. Now I'm a fine diamond, yeah. Said I'm a fine diamond.
Shaolin shadow boxing and the Wu-Tang sword style.
No matter how hard they try, I found myself in divine timing. Now they follow what I say like my name Simon. Led the chosen ones to victory in divine timing. The time is near, the signs are clear. 144, activation is here. We rise in the vibration with no fear. Oh, the thundercats we all hear. And now it just don't seem fair. It just don't seem fair.
Little puppy. Okay, I guess that's it. Hey, how we doing tonight? How are we doing? Oh boy. Hey, welcome. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I thought I had some new followers there. I was going to give everybody a shout out, but I guess there's no need to shout out the same people from the first episode. Oh boy, I'm telling you, I'm so excited and elated about this. I don't know what to do with myself, but I'm just so excited. I'm so excited from the last episode. What was it? Accidents? From accidents to ascensions. from accidents to ascensions. Man, let me tell you something. I, a multitude of accidents, just all of my life. I just talked a little bit about some of the things that I'm capable of talking about and most of what I've been through. I mean, I'm quite sure there's scenarios and stories that I don't even remember. I have to check in with some to find out what exactly, because I've had people knowing that I was going to be doing this say to me, "Do you remember this and do you remember that?" Absolutely not. But accidents to ascensions, I mean, I have come to a place where I never would imagine from the time things started happening to me. And so I just shared a little bit of this and a little bit of that about the accidents and things that I have went through. But what is tonight all about? What is tonight all about? Let me just welcome you back to Let's Talk with Jazzy Wanda. That's right. Let's talk with Jazzy Wanda, where truth ain't optional anymore. Truth is just not optional anymore, and healing shows up in every corner. Because when you've been through what I've been through, in order to come to a place where I sit tonight, truth just isn't optional anymore in my life. And healing comes at every corner, on every hand. To go through what I've been through and to rise to where I'm at, it takes ascension. It takes ascension. So today's episode is titled Faith in the Fire, Unmasking Resilience. Man, I must say, and I got to give it to myself, if you never pat yourself on the back, some of us need to start patting ourselves on the back for some of the things that we've been able to overcome and some of the things that we've been through. I'm going to be diving into the whispers before the breakthrough. Some of the things that I have dealt with, some of the things that I have encountered, yet to have experienced the breakthrough. Could you imagine starting off as a little girl with accidents? I mean, at 4 year olds, accident, I think it was 7 years old, another major accident. That was the beginning of a journey that I had no knowledge that I would endure as a person. But I sit here today able to share about the messiness in the middle of healing and the echoes that remind you why I still stand. If you've ever questioned your worth, your calling, or your comeback, this one is for you tonight. This show is for you tonight. If you've ever questioned your worth, your calling, your comeback, if you find yourself in situation after situation, trial after trial, circumstance after circumstance, you have to have faith. See, the faith level that I sit in tonight is not the faith that I've always had. I had to have those messy breakthrough in order to get to the level of the faith that I have now. I am unshakable at this point in this level in my life because as I journey through every hardship and every trial and every situation and circumstance, I never gave up. I never gave in. I never threw in the towel. Maybe oftentimes some of the things were so overbearing. And it wasn't the actual overbearing at the point of the situation and circumstance may have taken place. It was the aftermath. It was the sitting alone or sitting in the midst of the aftermath, having to deal with what may have just inspired, what may have just happened to me. what may I just may have went through, but yet I made it through another day, another day, another week, another month, another year, because is no way in the world that some of the things and most of the things that I have had to challenge, and I'm talking about early on as a young girl, that I sit here today with a sound mind and a pure heart and a loving mindset and have no art or no grudges against the world or against anybody or anything. See, sometimes we are destined to go through what we go through to get to wherever we may be at right now at this point in time. We don't embrace what we go through because we don't believe that, oh, wow, why me? Why is this happening to me? But you know what? Why not? Why not? Let's see if I can find my chats. Uh, why not me? There we go. Nobody in the chat yet. Anybody in the room? Oh, yeah, I got some viewers in the room. You know, life is not always peachy cream. And no, depending on how you are raised, depending on and you know what, it doesn't even really depend on what how you're raised. What's destined for you is for you. And I realized that the things that have happened to me, they were just destined to happen to me. It was the fate that I was handed to get me to the place that I am. Because had I not went through those things that I went through, I would not be able to sit here or not be able to, in my journey of life, help anybody come through, get over, overcome some of the situations and circumstances that they've been through. Because most of the time, people don't believe that anybody understands them or anybody knows, realizes what they're going through. And see, I speak about resilience. And I'm just going to break down what resilience means. Because a lot of us don't realize that we have the capacity to be resilient. We have the capacity to recover quickly from difficulties. But a lot of us don't want to go through anything, don't want to feel nothing, want life to just be peachy green. I would have loved to just had a life of peachy greenness, but that's what wasn't destined for me. That's what was not destined for you. So if you find yourself in situations and circumstances, it's like hell. Human beings, we go through some of the most treacherous, horrendous situations and circumstances in life, yet we must continue to function and smile and embrace and love and human being. That's exactly what. But also resilience, you must be able to adapt well in the face of adversity, in the face of trauma, tragedy, and threats. Now, who would imagine? Well, I know I didn't imagine as a young girl this was what life was going to afford me. Although I know the first accident was when I encountered have to be in a hospital strapped down where they had to give me stitches in my forehead and I was hollering and screaming. I was about 4 years old. But yet, then to turn around, and I'm just talking about the physical stuff, because see, there's the psychological and the mental that happens to you as you're growing up, depending on the home or the household you're in. Then I believe I was about 7 or 8, and oh my hair caught on fire. Almost the same 3-degree burns. Who would imagine that was the beginning of a journey that I would have to endure for a lifespan because it didn't stop there. It continued on and on and on. But yet, I still was able to manage to endure. I had to learn at an early age to be tough. See, we wonder why we find ourselves trapped off in chemicals. I believe that my reason for being caught up in the chemical scene was because of the pain and the trauma that I endured as a little girl. So I was looking for something to mask it. I was looking for something to cover it up. I was looking for something to help me deal with what I believe I couldn't talk to anybody about. I didn't even know what I needed to talk to anybody about. But when I got a certain age and I tasted a little bit of alcohol and a little bit of marijuana, and I'm talking about a early age. See, the trauma started early and so did the addiction. But I used that to become my coping mechanism because, see, there were some things going on in my life that I couldn't tell anybody because if I would, I may have lost my dad, could have lost my mom. So as a little girl, I had to learn how to have faith in the fire to be able to get to where I'm at. Now, keep in mind, I didn't know what faith was at that age. I believe I was introduced to my relationship with God at a very early age, but I wasn't raised up in the house of God. But I knew there was a greater source, and I knew there was a God from 4 years old. And maybe that's where my protection counted. And maybe I shouldn't even say maybe, because I believe that I was covered out of the womb. I'm here. I made it out of the womb and I suffered and I dealt with trauma, tribulation, heartache, hurt, and pain. But I was yet still able to persevere, strive, get good grades, be the A student in the classroom, talked a lot, ran my mouth. We could tell early on I was going to have a talking ability and a talking career. We knew I was a leader early on. I was always in charge and ahead of something. So I had to learn how to adapt, how to hide, how to put on a smile in the midst of adversity. With the craziness that I had going on at home as a little girl, I had to be able to smile like nothing was going on. So I learned early on, call it manipulate, call it whatever you want to call it. I don't, as a little girl, have no idea what manipulation was, but I'm quite sure through all of the trauma and the pain and the trials and the tribulations of what I went through, taught me how to have those particular gifts, talents, if you will, because I had to learn how to survive. I know there's a little girl with things happening to me that should not happen to no little girl. But like I said, the coping mechanism came along and I was able to persevere and deal and travel through school. Now, a student, brilliant little girl, running around having to hide and keep secrets, being traumatized physically, mentally, but I kept faith that I didn't even know was faith to keep going, to keep smiling, to keep striving, to keep being the best little girl I could be, to excel. Resilience is the ability to bounce back. Bounce back? You mean to tell me I had to learn how to bounce back at a very young age? Absolutely. 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 One thing about it was my dad didn't raise no wimps. And as I stated in my last live in my last segment, that I was raised by gangsters. So I was a young girl, so say about 9 years old. I believe when I started having to be around that, having to have responsibility, having to have run businesses. 9 years old. You talking about had to learn early how to be a young adult. 9 years old. That's what New York City bring for you. Most big cities in cities like New York, Chicago, maybe Atlanta, Louisiana, you learn at a young age how to defend for yourself, how to speak up for yourself, how to carry yourself, how to travel, how to get on the bus and the train, how to get from point A to point B at 9 years old in the big cities. Imagine having to be rounded and grounded at a young age for what was to come as you became a teenager and as you became a young adult. And then you became a mother and a wife. But you got all this baggage and all this luggage and all this hurt and all this pain. But remember, the addiction carried me through. And it carried me through to a certain point until it became the monkey that was the problem in the midst of the abilities that old Jazzy Wanda was capable of doing. Because you couldn't tell me nothing. 9 years old running businesses, 10 years old, had my own hot dog stand. Okay. But we got some stuff going on at home that can't tell nobody about. Okay. Just hair caught on fire at 7. Then we get to the preteens. Mm, mm, mm. Faith in the fire, unmasking the resilience. I was being trained, unbeknownst to me, unbeknownst to my parents, at a very young age, how to be resilient, how to bounce back from challenging life situations and circumstances while maintaining a psychological well being. But let me stop right there about that psychological well being part. We put on, that's why I talked about last segment about unveiling the mask and coming from behind the veil. I'm not talking about the religious veil, but I'm talking about coming from behind the veil of life. That the mask that we put on, that psychological well being. Like I said, the chemicals could only carry me, but so far until they became a problem, until they began to start working against my psyche. See, my psyche was under attack all along. My psyche was under attack all along. Because, see, when we get to the preteen and we get to 13, something tragic, drastically tragic happened. And that was it for me. That was it for the little girl that had to endure and pretend and manipulate Cause yeah, I believe I was sneaking drinking at 10. Cause they would leave the cups around the house after the parties, and you go around. I'm telling on my brother, we go around sipping what was left. So I had start realizing something about drinking. That alcohol anesthetizes you. But that situation that came up against my psychological well-being, because up to that point, I was it. I was Jazzy Wanda, who hadn't became Jazzy Wanda quite yet. I was the ballerina, went to ballerina school. I believe I tried out for commercials and all of the above. I was going to be this star, this actor. And then something tragic happened. But the funny, crazy part about the psychological well being of it, because I was at a point, and I'll get to there, I was done as far as I was concerned, as far as I thought. But see, faith in the fire, unmasking resilience had more for me to go, plenty more for me to get through. But I wanted to end it all. The funny thing about it is the situation that happened to me had happened to my dad. I'm daddy's girl. So, what? Something such as tragic as what had happened to me? You mean to tell me that I was able to deal in a way? Because, like I said, it really bursted that psychological bubble of the strong little girl that I thought I was or I was growing up to be. I got hit in the face with a bottle, ripped my whole face open. I didn't think I would tell this part of the story quite yet, but it is what it is. And my dad believe when he was 15, got shot in the eye with a BB gun and caused his situation with his eye. But mine was a lot different. The pretty little yellow girl that was so beautiful in her sight and everybody else's and was going to be on TV and the ballerina and the model had just had her face exploded wide open. What? Yes. And a freak accident at that. Here's the freak accidents. Freak accident number three, pretty much. Little did I know it was just really the beginning. I thought I was good after the hair caught on fire. Keep in mind, though, there's some things going on at home that I can't tell nobody about. So my innocence, ooh, on top of my psychological well-being, was being wrong. You figure that part out. My innocence. But the fact that because my dad had the situation at 13, I thought that because dad had that happen to him, then, oh, it's crazy. That's a mindset that no child should have to deal with or endure regarding such a traumatic situation that put me in the hospital for months. I believe it was months. I can remember a month, but I do believe it was months. To my middle school year, I was in the hospital for months. I started smoking cigarettes behind it. 13 years old, crazy, 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 crazy. But when I realized the psychological impact that it had on me, I had to fight through that because the pretty little girl had just had her face ripped open. Could you imagine the amount of surgeries and what is it called? The plastic surgeries and the surgeries that I had to have? And really nothing could be done about it because it was an accident. And you have to think, you have to live with that. At 13 years old, I believe I started wearing black shades and glasses. And when I became jazzy, I had all the different color, all the glasses. I'm just saying, resilience, what you have to learn, or what I had to learn at a very young age, so that when I got to the place when I was older and the real tragic stuff kept happening, I was able to deal. But the psychological part that tried to come up against me was the me losing my eye at 13 years old. Wow, what an impact it did to my psychological being. What an impact it did to my thoughts, my mind, my ability to want to continue to thrive. Because I was a tough little girl. I was a tough cookie. Very tough cookie. I said I was around nothing but men, nothing but gangsters, helping run my father's businesses. And yet I was ready to end it all. That was the beginning of my psychological impact, my mental health stability. So think about it. My addiction grew stronger at a very young age because of the impact of the hurt and the pain and the mindset that I had to deal with at such a young age. And you know how it is when people have deformities, people make fun of them. Bullies, almost like bullying, if you want to call it bullying, is bullying. They make fun of you, they call you names. Yeah, I wanted to end it all. It was the beginning of the mental health lifestyle that I would have to make a part of me because I really wanted to kill myself. But let me tell you about that. I was so resilient at that age that when they took me to the psychiatrist, oh no, not me. I don't want to hurt myself. I don't want to do you, not me, because there was a stipulation with you having mental health issues. There was a stipulation with you going to the psychiatrist. And the stipulation was, you know the word, they call you crazy. When you really learn at some point that crazy is good to a certain extent. Crazy is good to a certain extent. But I sat in that doctor's office and I looked him in the face and said, I'm good. I don't need no doctor. I don't need no psychiatrist. I don't want to hurt myself, but yet in all, in the subconsciousness of who I was becoming, the hurt that I was carrying, my secret was I didn't want to live. And I had to go to school, still excel, still be Sweet's daughter, because like I touched a little bit, dad had a little bit of cheddar, had money. So you had to live the role, play the role. The funny part is that I don't believe nobody really knew. Well, I know dad did, that my crutch became the addiction that I grew into. The reason why it was kept so much under wraps because I was able to still be resilient. I was able to still excel. I was able to still be the leader of this, the leader of that, the speaker at this, the speaker at that, run businesses at 13, 14, 15 when I should have been trying to be a teenage girl. Faith through the fire. So I was building faith that I had no knowledge what faith was at those ages because I wasn't going to no church at that time. I wasn't being God wasn't like the center of my knowledge of life, although I was covered from a very young age. That's a whole nother story. I don't want to get too much tangent off there because while I was doing all those other things, I believe it was from the age of 7 or 8, 9, and 10, there was that little church down the block on the corner where all the little kids used to go to the functions, Easter, Halloween, Christmas. And that's where I endured my relationship, what I call God, what you might call higher power, what you might call Allah, what you might call Yeshua, what you might call Elohim. Like I said, I call him, her, God. I am that I am. And I believe that was the pivotal point where the protection that I needed was introduced to me at that age. Keep in mind, okay, they coming in the chat. Keep in mind that I did not, I did not want anybody to know what I was dealing with and what I endured. And I kept on going. I kept on bringing all the other little kids down the block to the ministry. And I believe from that point, that was the protection that put itself in place because only my God knew what was for me to face outside of the realm of being brought up. You could say in the house of God, you could say whatever you want to say. The pivotal point where I'm at in my life today, I am the church. So I understand my relationship, I understand my belief system and my belief factor, not to jump all the way over there just yet, but it was in between all of that chaoticness that I met the Lord. Just enough that the protection was put in place then, and I sit here now. Through all the craziness that I was going through. Imagine having some things going at home as a little girl and you can't tell anybody. But then you find this place where they teach you about this higher power, this greater source, this God that is a loving God, a healing God, because that's the God I learned about. I don't know about some of these other places. Although I did go to religious instruction, I might be jumping around a little bit here, but guess what? I used to get paddled and spanked. It's confusing. Like one place over here, he's loving and he's kind, and the other places, I'm getting spanked and whipped because I might not be sitting right in the chair, or I might not be doing something that the nun wanted me to do. Could you imagine the mixed up messages and signals that I had to get? It was a wonder that addiction became my crutch. So much so that today addiction is a part of me, but it's not drugs. And I understand addiction. And it's anything that feels good to me, I'm going to want to do it in excess. But I just make sure that I don't do it in excess that it interrupts my pattern of life. That's it. That's all. Because you're going to be addicted to anything. But let's get back to, coming through the trenches of this resilience, my psychological well being. Oh, my. And believe it or not, that was the point where I knew that my psychological well being was being attacked. But along the way, situation that was going on at home where I couldn't tell nobody. Could you imagine? Having to keep such a secret to protect my dad because he would have killed the person. I know he would have killed the person, and I would have lost my dad. What life has to offer you or offer me? What are they saying in the chat? I don't know. I'm not even going to look at that because it doesn't look like it's nothing pertaining to what I'm talking about. Faith in the fire. You wonder when they say, oh, just have faith, oh, just have faith. Man, you have had to be resiliently through life, through life in order to see, because I'm quite sure there's people that have situations and circumstances greater than me, the impact on them. But then maybe they don't have the same resilient mindset as me. Maybe they don't know how to. How do you deal with the trauma? How do you deal with being attacked from the left to the right and still having to smile and keep going? How do you? I guess I was destined. I guess I was destined. See, when you read the big book, the good book, it tells you certain things that will help you along the way. Whether you believe it to be real, whether you believe whatever you believe about it, because you know there's all kind of sayings about the big book. But any book can have something for you that, if it makes sense and it speaks to you being resilient and it speaks to you having faith, if it speaks to you being kind, loving, how to overcome, you roll with it. It's knowledge. It's called wisdom. Boy, been going for 45 minutes. I told you I was a speaker. As a speaker, I want to see what they talking about in the chat, if it's anything. So let's hold that thought there about psychological well-being. How resilient that I had to hold my mind because I was on some stuff that could have took your mind. I'm gonna come back to that. Because I got some friends that ain't in their right mind from that same stuff. You gotta know the protection. Oh my. Woo! I'm so elated and so grateful that all that I've been through. I wouldn't trade it in for nothing in the world. And if I had to do it all over again, I guess I would. Because it has been good to me despite the pain, despite the trauma. I sit here today with peace. So let's just hold that thought. Let me see what they talking about in the chat. Okay, somebody trying to. It's not really spam. They offering me to do stuff the funny way about getting followers and all that. Listen, if they don't get at it by the grace, then they won't get at it. I am not fixing to do nothing that's gonna mess me up. I appreciate the offer, but no. I think it's what is this 8? It's 8 o'clock. I did start on time tonight though, so I'm gonna take a break. I'll be right back.
Uh huh. Yeah. You gotta choose your side. You gotta choose your side. it's do or die. I said it's do or die. Mhm. I said it's conflict in all areas, nigga. You choose the side. You could win or you could lose, nigga. It's do or die. Energy don't lie, it just testify for what they saying. I just look them deep into their eyes, going against the God in me. Now that's suicide. Higher self, higher level, higher wealth. To move like this, you gotta put your pride upon yourself. They say money is power, but knowledge way stronger.
If what you say is true, the Shaolin and the Wu-Tang could be dangerous. Do you think your Wu-Tang sword can defeat me?
They say money is power, but knowledge way stronger. My soul pure gold, so I live way longer. My mind think righteous, yeah, my bloodline chosen. My energy is positive, words unspoken. I'm so illuminated. I shine brighter than Illuminati. Walking on water, now they really know I'm God body, gifted from birth. So the life I face is hard body. Had so much love in my heart, they had to apply pressure. Now I'm a fine diamond, yeah. Said I'm a fine diamond.
Shaolin shadow boxing and the Wu-Tang sword style.
No matter how hard they try, I found myself in divine timing. Now they follow what I say like my name Simon. Led the chosen ones to victory in divine timing. The time is near, the signs are clear. 144, activation is here. We rise in the vibration with no fear. Oh, the Thundercats we all here. And now it just don't seem fair. It just don't seem fair. Uh-huh. Yeah. You gotta choose your side, you gotta choose your side. It's do or die. I said it's do or die. Mhm. I said it's conflict in all areas, nigga. You choose the side. You could win or you could lose, nigga. It's do or die. Energy don't lie, it just testify for what they saying. I just look them deep into their eyes, going against the God in me. Now that's suicide. Higher self, higher level, higher wealth. To move like this, you gotta put your pride upon yourself. They say money is power, but knowledge way stronger.
If what you say is true, the Shaolin and the Wu-Tang could be dangerous. Do you think your Wu-Tang sword can defeat me?
They say money is power, but knowledge way stronger. My soul pure gold, so I live way longer. My mind think righteous, yeah, my bloodline chosen. My energy is positive, words unspoken. I'm so illuminated. I shine brighter than Illuminati. Walking on water, now they really know I'm God body, gifted from birth. So the life I face is hard body. Had so much love in my heart, they had to apply pressure. Now I'm a fine diamond, yeah. Said I'm a fine diamond.
Shaolin shadow boxing and the Wu-Tang sword style.
No matter how hard they try, I found myself in divine timing. Now they follow what I say like my name Simon. Led the chosen ones to victory in divine timing. The time is near, the signs are clear. 144, activation is here. We rise in the vibration with no fear. Oh, the Thundercats we all here. And now it just don't seem fair. It just don't seem fair.
Hey, 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 hey. Well, I had to put a little stretch to the body because all that I've been through and some of the trauma that I experienced, and no sitting here straight for no hours and not getting up and stretching. I'm grateful to be able to stretch, move around. Yeah. So back to the story of what it took for me to get to where I'm at. How I had to come through the fire, come through the storm, and oh man, it's amazing what human beings could go through. I'll make sure. It's amazing what human beings could, what we go through, and what we have the ability to endure. And sometimes we don't have no choice in the matter. That's the crazy part of it all. We don't have no choice in the matter. But that situation that really catapulted me, I believe, into the mental health realm was the accident that happened to me when I was 13 years old. Back to that. That was the beginning of an open into, because the reality of it all is when you use chemicals to cope and they become your crutch, you know, well, I ain't gonna say we don't understand, but anxiety, depression, bipolar, all that comes from that. You wasn't born with that. In my opinion, I wasn't born with that. That's how I was able to overcome some of these things and deal with them, because I had to tell myself I wasn't born with these things. I feel like I developed them along the way through the chemicals and the behaviors and ooh, the lifestyle. It was almost like a dual. I just got to keep it real, relevant, and raw. You got to vibe with me here on this one. It was almost like I was developing dual personalities. And if you get caught up in the mental health role and start going to them places and all of that, they'll start telling you you got this many personalities and that many. And if you believe in that crap, then you start taking on the motion and the action of what they be telling you. You have to be so careful. And you know what? Mental health isn't funny, but I could sit here and laugh at it and laugh about it pertaining to me, not nobody else. See, because in my opinion, I was gifted with a resilient mind and heart, because the good Lord already knew what I was going to endure. It started at 4 years old. And it just kept on, kept on. Couple of years, couple of years, couple of years. And then some of the things that I wasn't doing behind closed doors, a little girl, her innocence is taken away. You know, inappropriately being touched and fondled, and that's your innocence being taken away. And I'm tangent off here because it's telling me to tangent off here. We so worried about the Epstein files. Okay, granted. But what about the aunts and uncles, or the moms or the dads or the stepdads that touched young age people or did inappropriate things to underage people? And then from what I know and about some stories that people did come clean, or a girl would tell her parents, they don't believe them. They don't believe them. The courts don't want to believe you. If you get raped and you want to go tell or come clean with that, nobody wants to believe you. But yet, we chasing down some Epstein files. What I want to know is, what is it going to do when we get the list? Is anybody? Hey, Jess, I see you, girl. You found me. You found me. All right now. What is it going to do? What's going to satisfy your mind? You all want so many different people to be on that list that makes no kind of sense whatsoever. Because you ain't talking about the uncle or the aunt that touched you. You still harboring and holding that foolishness in your mind and in your heart and haven't been able to come over it. A lot of people or young boys have turned to the opposite, to the same sex, as a result of some of these things being done to them. Some of these things being done in our religious institutions. You know what I'm saying? Like, we talking about Epstein and then P. Diddy. What about the things that happen to the innocent kids that don't have the ability to speak up for themselves? or don't know how to tell nobody, or nobody won't believe them or hear them. Maybe we should put some laws in place about that, about inappropriate touching of your children at a young age, your stepchildren, you know? Yeah, man, listen, I didn't know I was going to go tangent off here, but it is what it is. It's live, it's real, and it's raw, and it's how I became resilient, and it's how I came through the faith of the fire. It's so much so that, in my opinion, I can look and tell when a little girl's being touched. That is so sad. Okay, what we got? I can't see that, but whatever it was something good. And thank you. Somebody just followed me. I appreciate the follow. Yes, yes, yes. Let me see. Y'all know I'm just learning this, but I'm gonna get good at it. I'm gonna become a pro at it. Joan Play. There you go, Joan. I appreciate the follow. Now I'm gonna tell you something. Some of these names I am not gonna be trying to pronounce because if nothing else, my kids get on me with my pronunciation. But I'm gonna give you a shout out anyway. There you go. Yes. There you go. Oh man, it's crazy how some of the things that we worry about or find ourselves concerned about. I'm just gonna say this. I made a post. Listen. This social media stuff is freedom of speech. You say what you want to say, as much as freedom of speech can be, because when you start hitting the nerves of certain levels of people, they come for you. So I'm gonna try to stay down here as much as I can, because at the end of the day, I'm not trying to wake nobody up. I'm sharing my story. If you wake up from it, more power to you. But I'm not trying to come up against any entity whatsoever. But I just it doesn't, I don't understand, and it behooves me that I made a post. Just was sharing my take on the Epstein file, and what everybody wants the files, but nobody wants to talk about what go on in homes and how little kids and girls are touched in America in the homes. And I'm quite sure it happens in other countries, and it happens in other countries. I know on a larger scale where girls get missing and taken away and all of the above. And see, I could go all the way off in a tangent about what America's hand is in that, but I'm talking about me. I'm talking about here in America, the things that happen to little girls and kids just right in their house, and they have to deal with it. They can't tell nobody. If they tell somebody, their mom don't believe them, or it's just so unfortunate. But I said what I said. And this joker gonna come back and say to me, "Oh, because they're running the country." You really think that certain entities is running the country? I had to tell him that. I said, well, I must have hit a nerve. He must be one of those pedophiles that done touched on one of his kids. That's exactly what I said to him. I'm sorry if I hit a nerve, but who you think is running the country is not running the country. A lot of people think that old Trump is hiding his name on that list, but you'll be surprised. There's a lot of other names on that list that they don't want to come out, so they not letting that list out. Okay, they're not letting that list out. That's why you don't hear nothing about the Playboy stuff. Because if anything, that's who they should have went after. They went after the Playboy guy. He had young teenage girls in there doing what were doing. But back to me being resilient. I just had to get off on that tangent because that is a significant part of my life. Trauma, on sexual abuse, child abuse, because that's what sexual abuse is. I didn't even know I was had child abuse until my first rehab, and they asked you, have you ever been touched sexually, and I shared with them, and my chair flew across the room like some kind of exorcist. I'm just saying, y'all, through the storm, through the fire, I learned to be resilient in the midst of all of it. But imagine having to keep these kind of secrets, being raped, okay? And not one time, not two times, but several different occasions. And I'm just going to jump to this point right here, that how I overcame the multiple grapes and the situations of being touched as a little girl. One out of all of those things that happened to me, one person wind up, I got justice for one incident, one situation that had happened to me. The police were involved. They finally believed a girl telling her story about being raped, and he got locked up and he got caught. I think I was even had to do a grand jury something. That's how crazy life is, or life affords us. But he went to jail and he did time. And from that point forward, it helped me be able to overcome and forgive. And not so much the stuff that happened to me as a little girl at home, but the other grapes. It helped me to be able to come to a conclusion and a suffice because somebody was finally paying for taking advantage of me without permission. Now, isn't that something? Isn't that crazy? But that's how I've been able to lock the door on the grapes. Touchy along life's journey. But now it is what it is. It is what it is. It is what it is. The only way I was able to overcome the situation as a little girl, though, was I had to confront. And for years, that's all I needed was clarity. Like I just needed to know what was the mindset of at least one of them. Because keep in mind, it was two family members. Isn't that crazy? And let me tell you something. Not just happened to me. This goes on in multiple homes. Okay? That's why multiple people have mental health situations and